Do pharmacists actually enjoy their job? Well, I'm going to answer that question today. I did a deep dive on Reddit. Some of these comments are really interesting. This person said, "Clinical is pretty sick, man. Would love more money, of course, but I always feel respected and appreciated by my team, and I have a great boss. I work 7 on and I get 7 off." Imagine being respected and appreciated at work. That's not the case for a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans are just a number on a spreadsheet these days, and that's truly sad. This next person said, "No, the actual work and helping people is great. The workload, the staffing, the not keeping up with inflation, and the blatant disrespect from the public, other healthcare workers, and employers is degrading and debilitating." Here's an example of disrespect. I've heard of a recent CVS location that's becoming an Oak Street Health. They're gutting the front store and updating the pharmacy. The new clinic side will have 5 bathroom stalls, including a private one for clinic staff only. The pharmacy side will have 1 bathroom stall that the staff will share with the public. Would anyone design this for a doctor? Never. The next commenter said, "No, pharmacists are miserable. Go to your local pharmacy, retail, outpatient, whatever, and ask to speak to the pharmacist. Look at the despair in their eyes as they drag themselves over to the consult window. I have friends and family in other professions who work from home. They basically check emails and attend a Zoom meeting once a day. They spend the majority of their day at Costco or at the gym. The mouse jiggler keeps them active on the computer." I'm going to chime in about that comment. I was speaking with an attorney recently. He told me that he is representing a client who got fired. This employee had been with the company for approximately 20 years. He built a mouse jiggler so that he could go and check on his children from time to time in another area of the home and run to the bathroom. It's not like he was away from the computer for extended periods of time. But apparently, the company had some type of software that could detect this mouse jiggler, and it violated some policy with the company. So he was terminated. And the attorney is trying to represent him, and who knows what's going to happen. So I think you should think twice before doing anything like that. Getting back to these comments. This person said, "I'm a retail pharmacist. I enjoy the good moments of the day and dismiss the bad ones immediately after I walk out the door at the end of a shift. That's the nice thing about being a staff pharmacist in retail. You typically don't have to worry about the job outside of work, aside from keeping up on continuing education. Retail pharmacy could be better, but I'm content as long as the salary and benefits don't stagnate and get any worse." Another person said, "I love my job. I work 7 on, I get 7 off. There are some stressors right now that are out of my control, but on a day-to-day basis, I love what I do. But I also knew that I loved pharmacy before I went to school, so I had that going for me." Well, it's nice to hear that someone really likes his or her job. The next person said, "I actually enjoyed retail at first, like 10 years ago. After the height of the pandemic, staffing got even worse, patients got worse, management got worse. A lot of pharmacists I had worked with started getting out of retail, and so did I. I'm at a hospital now, and most of the problems are just normal work problems which I can deal with. I feel like a normal person now, without retail stress." Well, I think that's great. I'm glad that that person was able to get out of the stressful environment. Stress can be a real killer. Another person said, "I'm a retail pharmacist for a large chain. I put on a smiling face for everyone, but my mental state is not healthy right now. A lot of customers are incredibly rude and disrespectful. I've been threatened and thought someone would hurt me. I have had to call the cops more than 10 times in 4 years. I literally feel strangled by the hours being cut, and/or not having enough help, and there is no room for any errors. I feel like I am constantly taking care of other people, but I am not able to take care of my own needs. I do love my coworkers and some of my regulars. I feel like my outlook would be a lot different if I was doing clinical pharmacy. I'm applying to get out of retail, but everyone seems to want residency. Another person said, I was miserable when I worked at Hellgreens, but since I made the shift to a hospital, I am enjoying my job and career a lot more. Aren't these really interesting? My gosh. This next person said, I love my job, the hours, the workload, the type of work, and the relationships with my other colleagues. It was a lot of luck that got me here, but I do acknowledge that my brothers and sisters in retail pharmacy have had a progressively declining quality of work life and stagnant pay, and that needs to be remedied. Well, that needs to be remedied in a lot of different occupations. A lot of people right now are suffering because their wages have not kept pace with inflation. Welcome to America. Another person said, nope, pharmacy sucks wherever you go. It pays the bills and allows me to do things I wouldn't be able to afford to do without the income. Another person said, I'm a retail pharmacist. It's all situational based, but you also have to demand respect and not fold when customers or management disrespect you. As an intern, I have seen my supervisors cry over things. I don't go for any type of disrespect. I'm 28 years old, and I spend half my time teaching people double my age about patience and respect. I find it quite funny that I'm the elder in these types of situations. The next commenter said, I've only been out of school for 2 years and feel that my depression and anxiety have never been worse. Wow, my friends, can you imagine going to school, racking up a bunch of student loan debt, and then 2 years into your career, you realize you absolutely hate it. What are you going to do then? If you have studied pharmacy, that's a pretty specific field. The next person said, careers are often what you make of it. Work is work. Everyone must realize that. They call it employment, not enjoyment. Bottom line, find a job, work said job, and grow in the job. You shouldn't love your job, but like your job. If you hate your job, look for another job. My friends, it sounds so simple, doesn't it? It's not always that easy. Another person said, enjoying work is an oxymoron to me. I don't think a career could ever fulfill me. However, I have a good career and salary, so no regrets. Well, this person sounds relatively happy, and I'm glad he has a good salary. You need one these days here in America in order to survive. Another person said, I just retired after 30 years of hell. Don't let it get that bad. My friends, that's got to be miserable. Working 30 years in a job that you absolutely hate. The last comment that I'll share with you came from someone who said, I work at a regional grocery store, and there are parts of my job that I really like. I have really nice customers at my store, and I see many of them daily as they shop for groceries or pick up their prescriptions. I have grown close to them over the 7 years I have worked there. I feel like my accomplishments after a busy day are clearing the queues. The pay is also very good, and we get raises every year along with regular bonuses. We also get vacation and PTO, which is fantastic. There are downsides, but I try to focus on the positives. Well, my friends, there you go. Some folks like what they do. Some folks absolutely despise it. I'm curious if any of you are a pharmacist. If so, tell us what it's really like in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.